I I wanted to start with your OU career
Mhm.
because I think and I had a front row seat to it because we were in the same recruiting class, but I just think it's one of the most fascinating careers in the history of the program. And I wanted to start here, big guy. Why did you ever consider transferring? The position changes, Kevin Wilson constantly yelling at us. Like, did you ever think about it? It's so common now, but I could never recall you even mentioning it to me.
No, I just the last thing I want to do is go back home to, no offense to Sam Houston, or go to like Stephen F, which is like where everybody else like where I'm from goes to. So it's like I'm not about to go back home and tuck my tail. It's like I'll sit here in purgatory for a few years until some things change. But no, I think I had to develop. Obviously, as an athlete, I was a skill position player and I had to move to O line. But I think that I knew I had the athleticism part. I just had to get through the few years of making that transition, which it took me time, to do that. But all in all, it worked out. But it was a fun ride. Yeah, a lot of ass chewings, a lot of good times. But I say, man, just OU makes you, they do make some strong athletes, just mentally tough. As far as what I've experienced in the NFL compared to that, and I know it was a lot worse back in the day whenever Teddy was in the program, but it was a different level of intensity. And when I think about those times, it's everything else is pretty easy.
It's interesting to think about because most people like for me, I wanted to be a linebacker since I was a little kid. It's all I ever thought about, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how most people are.
Yeah.
And you had to transition to a bunch of different positions. Like, when did it settle in? Like, or maybe it never did, and it's just where you found yourself that you were going to be a tackle, and you were kind of all in on that.
Yeah, it took me. Bob asked me, I think at the beginning of the spring when I was playing DN, if I wanted to do it, and I was like, no. But I mean, I saw, Gabe did it originally. Mensick put on some weight and played tackle. So there were some guys that were doing it. And I just, where I was in my career, I was a redshirt sophomore. I was going to be a rotational guy at best at DN. And then, after a few practices with, in spring, Coach Stoops was like, hey, man, I think you can play a long time in this position. I said, oh, well, I think I'll just stay here. But I think, a lot of my background growing up, I played a lot of basketball. So for me, sliding the feet part was pretty easy. I had to get used to the bull rush. It took me a few years in the NFL to get used to that. But the footwork stuff, I feel like all that stuff transition. Yeah, but I was all settled in. It was right before we started camp, going to my junior year, and that was like, and even then I wasn't starting the beginning of my junior year. Daryl got hurt, I believe, the first game, and so that's when I came in. But yeah, I got real serious that summer, going into my junior year.
Was there any point where you were like, I can be really, really good at this? Where the light came on a little bit? Do you remember a moment like
Uh,
that?
I mean, I think the Insight Bowl, like, there was some progressions. Obviously, my Florida State, like, first half was bad, and then after that, I started just increasingly getting better. But I felt like really after the Insight Bowl, um, junior year against Iowa, I can't remember. We won that game, didn't we? It was
Yeah,
31 to,
remember
yeah.
the
I remember Mike
little
Daniels.
well, yeah, but poor Haburn had to block that guy. That was he was on the other side the entire game. I didn't have to touch him. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But the main memory I have from that game is the sky cam almost falling on us when we were in the huddle.
Yeah. And that was at, where was that at? El Paso?
No,
Where was
that
that
was
at?
at
Or
Arizona
Tempe?
State
Arizona,
Tempe.
Stadium.
yeah,
Tempe.
Tempe,
I think it was Tempe, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, so I think after like my junior year, obviously I had to make a switch, and I fucking hated spring ball. So there was some practices I was bullshitting. I remember Coach Height bringing me in. It was like, you think you're going to get drafted the first day? He said you're not going to get drafted at all. He said, and they started Tyrus that spring game, and he was like, if you think this is a joke, he said, wait till the week opener, you'll see if it's a joke. But I mean, I knew going into camp, that's when I had to really, and that's when I really, it's my last year. I'm about to give it all I got. But to answer your story, I knew I had a chance to play in the NFL going, after my junior year, that last game, I felt like I was starting to get in tune. You know, my kick sets were starting to look like a tackle on film, and yeah, I was starting to grow into my body a little bit more.
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things is like physically your obviously your athleticism, but the strength and everything. Where does that foundation come from? Did you start the strength and conditioning stuff when you were young?
Uh,
Did you have a good high
I
school
mean,
program?
we had a good high school program. But we had a guy that was next, a power lifter there. I think he went to SMU. His brothers played at SMU, so he was kind of like the main trainer for our guys in college. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. Sometimes he'd make us bench consecutive days. I'm like, what are we doing, bro? And he's like, you got to eat every day. So I'm not sure the science all mixed up, but you know, I think when I got to OU, you know, we lifted some, and JUCO is more like auxiliary lifts, you know, tempo, everybody get on a machine. But you know, I can say from my first 2 years at being in Oklahoma that my strength really went through the roof. But you know, you're working on plyos every day, you're doing that med ball stuff every day, you're doing the hurdles every day, and you just stack that up year after year, day after day. Um, and then, yeah, I just think, you know, Gabe obviously making the transition, and Mensick making the transition helped my confidence tremendously, because Gabe was playing right away. You know, it seemed like he gained 60 pounds, you know, in the like 6, 7 months, and he was there. But those guys gave me confidence, and you know, I think, you know, OU's done it before with Jamal Brown and different guys like that, moving guys around.
Lane used to set an alarm, Ted. Lane used to set an alarm at like 3 a.m. and wake me up, and we'd chug those Gatorade shakes to try to add weight.
Well, dude, the worst fear was like, well, sometimes he would like weigh you fucking after the workout, and so I'm like barely 305 before, and he started one summer weighing us in after. I'm like, bro, what the fuck am I gonna do? But yeah, if you didn't make your weight, sometimes yeah, you'd be sitting there chugging 7 pounds of those 320 calorie Gatorade shakes until you made weight. So I tried to get it over at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who was it? Who was the tackle that someone I heard this story where he was taking the little weights that go in the weight vest,
Oh
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah.
he was hiding those like in his girdle and stuff. Whatever
Oh,
he was
I
weighing.
was guilty of a 2.5 or a
yeah,
5 pound plate in the shorts every
oh
once in a
yeah.
while.
Yeah, we needed those ones that go in the weight vest, the slender ones, because
Yeah,
sometimes you'd have a fucking, you know, strip down, you got a big old 2.5 in your girdle. Some guys already had a 2.5 pound weight, but I didn't have any. I had to fucking, I had to have mine in my girdle. Uh, but yeah, that was what was funny too is like I remember like my freshman year, some guys would get in there butt ass naked, would get in there on the scale, and like we're all on the assembly line, and Rodney's just writing the weights on the whiteboard.
Jermaine Gresham on the scale playing the recorder butt naked during training camp is still just oh
yeah,
my gosh.
he was taking showers. He was throwing shower on his back with that thing.
Okay. Let's I I think everyone loves hearing every former OU player's favorite Schmidty story, and you got a lot with all the all the weight gain, all the position changes. Do you have a favorite one though? Like one that stands out the most to you?
Just you know, we used to do a set of 50 every day before med ball or for med ball warm ups, and then fucking one summer he just goes 100, and people were like, "Did he fucking say what he thought he said? 100?" I did. So we switched it to 100, and then one time we were on the, you remember this, we were on the duck pond hill, and so we're at an incline, and we're doing the med ball tosses across, and so you're working one side of your body, and I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever done. And then Josh Aladnoy guys were missing their balls, and it was going into duck pond, and he was making them wait out
He
there and go get it.
he made Woods go get it out of the duck pond.
oh my
what
god, it's
Woods probably woke up in the duck pond from the night before.
The do you remember when they put that new field turf in on the practice field and the
Oh, we
sleds
had to push
just
the sleds
oh my gosh.
because
That's
there
the
was a few
only
guys
time
that were.
that's the only
Yeah,
time I
that's
remember him ever going, all right, my bad, man.
what they
yeah.
do. They like melt to the surface.
It,
We
it
couldn't
was like
push
the
them.
brand new tire. It would not move.
Hey, it's Stephen Good broke, I broke, Ben Habron broke, everybody broke, and we're going. We have no man left, sir. We're all fucked up.
That's the worst
I
part, though, is like whenever because I was always like the 8 o'clock group in the morning, which is the perfect group to be in.
yeah.
But like whenever you're pulling in and you see like guys that are like clearly have fallen out that are not finishing the workout, it's like, oh my God, what is going on out there? You know, it's like getting led to the slaughter.
Oh yeah, and you just ask people how was it, and they don't even look at you. They just that's the same. I got the same answer every day.
I
Brutal
just
stuff.
favorite
Doing the
game.
change.
Favorite
Favorite
game.
game.
Favorite game. We hit some good ones.
Oh yeah, we had some good ones. Probably the OSU, the triple overtime at home, the one Brennan scored on.
Man, that was a fun game.
That was just because it was so many plays. You know, probably lost 15 pounds in that game. Dude, looking back, there were some games we had 110, 120 plays. I'm like, man, what? There was some definitely long games for sure. That one, I remember, my senior year against your junior year against Texas. Played them. That was a good stomping. Unfortunately, I remember the Notre Dame game just because I was like, these things, they have the goldest helmets ever. It's true. It's true what they said in the movies. I remember Florida State my first game just because I couldn't hear. I was getting bull rushed. I was laid off the snap, and I was like, fuck, bro. This is it's like I'm in a blender and I can't get out. I didn't for the first half, but yeah, really those few games. Yeah.
Was there a matchup like a player that you went up against, defensive end or backer or something that was really tough, or you put a lot of work into it over the week or something, or something
I
that really
think
sticks out?
some of the key matchups. Jeff Coat was big at the time. Alex Okafor was big at Texas. There's a guy at TCU. There's a freshman. So Devontae Fields, I believe his name was.
Wow, what a recall.
Yeah, Devontae Fields. Really, those are the few players. Yeah, just thinking. Yeah, there was a lot of different looking guys at the Senior Bowl that were a lot bigger matchups, but no, really, I mean, just Okafor was probably one of the better players that I faced. Jackson Jeffcoat was ranked high that year. I think anybody else. Yeah, that's really it. I just I just remember us going so fast. We had the rocket laser package 1 through 10. Top five was, I believe, it was on the run. One of them was run, one of them was pass, and we ran a lot of plays. We had to be in shape, and we were in shape. We might not have looked as jacked as some of the OSU players, but we can run.
We absolutely could.